So I can't say we haven't seen this coming from a mile away, but ladies and gents, Sony Group is in talks to acquire Kadokawa Corporation, sources claim. Of course, the big powerhouse behind Elden Ring. If you don't know who Kadokawa is as a company, they basically own almost 70% of From Software, the developer behind Elden Ring, which is absolutely massive. We have this report right here by Gamatsu and Reuters. So Sony Group Corporation is in talks to acquire Kadokawa, according to a Reuters report, citing two sources familiar with the matter. And we also have the exclusive report right here, literally posted a few moments ago. But the talks between the two sides are ongoing, and if successful, a deal could be signed in the coming weeks, the sources have said. Both Sony and Kadokawa declined to comment. So yeah, the negotiations are still not completely done yet. The deal is still ongoing, and unless something goes horribly wrong, like how it did in the case of their supposed merger back, I believe it was like a few months ago with some Indian company, yeah, Z Entertainment Enterprises. If everything goes on track, we're going to see eventually From Software becoming a Sony PlayStation studio, and any future IPs becoming Sony exclusives, at least for a period of time after launch. Which, holy smokes, it's really huge. Now, for those who don't know, Sony already owns about 2% stake of Kadokawa Corporation before this deal, and collectively with Tencent, they hold 30% of From Software. So I believe that Sony has about 16% shares in From Software, besides the fact that they are about to get another like 70. So that means that the only thing remaining is for them to buy out Tencent and pretty much fully own From Software as well as Kadokawa. Now, if they own Kadokawa, they don't just get From Software, they get some pretty big IPs, a lot of light novels, a lot of anime, a lot of manga. It's not just them branching out into video games. This company has existed since 1945, mind you, and they have branched out into animes, into events, into manga, into light novels, figures with franchises such as ReZero, in which a teenager boy is... You of course know ReZero already, so I'm not going to comment on it too much, but I believe they also own like what, Crunchyroll, they also own Funimation, Manga Entertainment, there's a lot of stuff. This is pretty much the last manga slash anime company that Sony could have bought, which pretty much means that now they own pretty much everything in terms of that. So yeah, From Software is part of it as well, but holy smokes, this is like a 2-for-1 best acquisition that Sony could have made this year and probably ever. This also means that they will pretty much monopolize the majority of everything that is like English speaking manga readers. It's pretty much going to be Sony owned through one way or another. So that's a pretty big one, on top of the fact that I'm kind of wary of my favorite games getting bought up by a big conglomerates. It's just something that I'm kind of becoming wary these days. I just enjoy playing my games on PC day one and not having complete exclusivity to the games I enjoy. But this is a massive deal for Sony, given how not all of their acquisitions have been complete bangers in the past year. Concord, of course, being one of the examples. But of course, Elden Ring has sold 25 million units and has been one of the most best praised games of all time. Also, Shadow of the Erdtree sold 5 million units in the first 3 days after its launch back in June. So this was a deal that honestly everybody has seen from a mile away. We've been even talking about it ever since Elden Ring came out, and it makes sense given their collaboration in the past for Bloodborne and for some of the other PlayStation exclusives and remakes. Which also begs the question, are we finally going to see that Bloodborne remake slash PC port? Are we finally going to get that? I really hope so, or at the very least a 60 FPS patch. I'm not even sure if the PS5 Pro does anything on that side, but it's, like I said, not the only franchise that they own. They also own ReZero. They also own other animes and manga, so other franchises like Delicious in Dungeon, manga series adopted into an anime about adventures exploring dungeons and eating monsters they encounter. So it's a pretty big one, and there's a good reason why. It's further explained in the article. So lovable characters and intellectual properties can live 30, 50, or even 100 years, according to Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida. who said that last year. That's something we want to make investment in for a sustainable growth. And we already saw that Sony had a huge focus on other similar franchises, like focus including on anime, whose growth worldwide has been fueled by the spread of streaming services and greater familiarity with Japanese culture. So Kadokawa, like holding, I believe they hold about 10 of the best light novels of all time. So this just means that Sony is going even deeper into that route that they've kind of been just acquiring for the past decade. The group has also had success extending the reach of its own franchises, such as the Last of Us games series adapted into a popular HBO drama, which was also a massive success. Now, the thing you have to realize here is that Sony is not Microsoft, so when they make a deal like this, they have to make sure that it counts. Their market cap, I believe, is like 114 billion, so their market valuation is 114 billion compared to $3 trillion dollar company that Microsoft is. So they can't really afford to go on a spending spree and just acquire every studio out there for like exorbitant amount of money. They can only do so strategically in the space they are most familiar with, and I think that this is like just up their alley. As much as this kind of gives me shivers down my spine for some reason, I don't know, I hope that I'm really wrong on this case. But there have been some other acquisitions that have not gone through in the past. Like I said, the Indian arm with Z Entertainment Enterprises failed. There was supposed to be a 10 billion merger back a few months ago. So basically, it was in January. So yeah, they scrapped that because of some of the problems that were encountered along the way. Conditions were not met, but they didn't really specify what those conditions were. But this also means that we're getting closer and closer to From Software becoming a PlayStation studio, which means heavily promoting the heck out of whatever game comes next. And even like existing lineups, I think that it's pretty much going to be Sony like just promoting the heck out of those in conjunction with them selling the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro. And this could also mean that they could give you even more incentives to buy the PlayStation 5 Pro if you didn't have enough already with GTA 6 coming out next year. But if you get a chance to play the next game on the PlayStation 5 Pro or PlayStation 6, whichever we may see another From Software game on, yeah, you're going to pretty much see everybody just going on that platform. Assuming, of course, that they are still maintaining their plans to make the games exclusive, at least for a period of time. Now, I do have a question, which is what the hell is happening with Bloodborne? I'm not sure exactly we get to see anything regarding it. I think that at the moment, nothing is happening with it. But yeah, it seems that everybody is quite exhilarated about this news right here. So for now, this is pretty much it. From Software, banger of an update, but let's see where this brings us. This is pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.